Susan B. Anthony said, "Someone struggled for your right to vote, so use it and become an educated voter." Today, our neighborhood representatives in planning for the upcoming election will hear from Beaufort and Jasper County officials in a referendum educational information session. Sun City TV is privileged to be invited to share this content with you.
Next item, we do have, as you probably know, a couple of referendums pending, both in Beaufort and Jasper counties, that are important to us, and that we thought important enough to have two speakers come in today and talk to you about the referendums. So our first speaker, Jared Fralix, is the Assistant County Administrator for Infrastructure for Beaufort County. Jared attended the Citadel for his bachelor's in civil engineering and Florida University for his master's in civil engineering, and is a registered professional engineer. He was the first county engineer for Colleton County, and he served as their construction manager for a $32 million multi-jurisdictional and multi-agency Boundary Street project. And he currently serves, as I said, the Assistant County Administrator of Infrastructure for Beaufort County, where he's involved in planning for $1.5 billion of infrastructure within the county over the next 10 years. He's happily married to his wife, Brandy, has 3 beautiful children, Jade, Austin, and Easton. And these days, while he doesn't have much spare time, he gladly spends time, he does, coaching whatever sport is in season. And I'm sorry to announce this last part, at least for Jared, he wants to watch the Atlanta Braves win championships. That'll have to be next year, I guess. Anyway, would you please welcome Jared Fralix. Jared.
Thank you for that. So when Chairman Passman and Miss Elisa Passman asked me to speak here to the Neighborhood Representation Committee, I was like, yeah, that sounds fine. How many people do you think will be there? Like 10? Yeah, I've got 10 neighborhoods. And she said 62. I was like, what? And so completely surprised me. I'm glad that you guys are so active and so broken into many neighborhoods. You're a big neighborhood, but hopefully by breaking it down, you actually have that sense of community and sense of place, which is important. And really glad that you're here. So I have Patty Wilson. She's in our engineering office. She's passing around a pamphlet, and I'm going to speak to that since we don't have the PowerPoint. But luckily, I've spoke a couple times on it before, so I can talk through it pretty easily for us. Okay. Can I hold this thing?
Yes.
Sure.
All right. It's hard for me to stand in one point. I might actually, if it's all right, walk around, just make it a little bit freer. And I'll try my best to keep the microphone. Can everybody hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. All right, so the great thing also about you guys in here being neighborhood leaders or representatives is that you are leaders. And the one thing I know about leaders is they're ready to act, ready to do the next thing. So because of that, each of you guys have homework. And your homework will be this that you have. You're getting educated today, but your responsibility is to see Miss Patty after this. Actually, we're going to have the box available whether she's here or not. We'll have these available, but your responsibility is to get these pamphlets and go educate your community, okay? Can everybody give me a head nod that you're up for that homework and responsibility? All right. So really, there's 2 questions that is of utmost importance that will be on the ballot, and it's not going to look a whole lot like this pamphlet. And the most important part is you've got to know before you get to the ballot booth what those questions mean, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first question, and this is going to be the same for Beaufort County and Jasper County, minus the numbers. So the first question in Beaufort County is, do you approve the transportation sales tax up to $950 million over a 10-year period to support transportation projects. It will not have all the projects listed. It will basically say that, let me back up, it will say a little bit differently. It'll say $900 million towards transportation-related projects and $50 million towards greenbelt projects, and I'll talk to that in a little bit. But in essence, what that's saying is this is 1 penny that will be added to retail sales, and either it's got a sunset period. So this is not, you put it on and you'll always be taxed. This is 10 years or $950, whichever comes first. So if we collect $950 million in 8 years, then that penny will end and it will be removed from your retail purchases. Likewise, if we get to 10 years and only have collected $900 million, then that tax will be removed and then no longer on your retail purchase. Does that make sense? All right, so that's question 1. Question 2 plays off of question 1, and in essence it reads, do you approve the issuance of up to $515 million in bonds to support the projects that are referenced in question 1? So what this is, what it is not is another tax. This is not another penny. This is associated with question 1. This is not property tax. These bonds are not making your property tax go up on your vehicle or your homes. This bond is associated with, basically, it's a tool that county council can use to expedite the projects that are listed in question 1. So if question 1 fails, question 2 automatically fails, okay? If question 1 passes and question 2 fails, then it doesn't have a material effect. The tax goes into effect, but council can only spend money on projects as the money comes in quarter by quarter. The only thing that question 2 does, it allows county council to get started on some projects sooner than they would if they had to wait on the money to collect to issue a construction contract. Does that make sense? So those 2 things are what you need to hand out to each of your community members and explain. Whether you say vote yes or no, that's not my concern. I just want to make sure each and everybody understands what they're voting on, all right? So if you turn to the pamphlet, this is the information. If you unfold it, this is what the $950 million is for. All right, and I'm going to, y'all read along and follow along as I go through these. So the first 3 projects, the Triangle Project, Rebo Road, and SC 46, are major corridor enhancement projects. Potential widening and capacity improvements, safety improvements and stuff. By show of hands, and I've talked about this now for at least 2 years, so I want to see if it's getting out. By a show of hands, who knows what the Triangle Project is? All right, we've got some followers. All right, for those of you that don't, it's pretty straightforward, but it 100% affects everybody sitting in this room. Once you leave the gates and if you go play at a different golf course, it 100% affects you. So it is improvements on SC 170 from 278 up to 462, okay? And then improvements on 278 from 170 back to Walmart or Argent Boulevard. And then it's improvements on Argent Boulevard from Walmart 278 up to 170. So if you put those 3 roads on a map, it looks like a triangle, hence the name, okay? So the intent is that those roads are improved, and behind the 278 bridge to Hilton Head, that project is the highest priority project in the entire region. Not just Beaufort County, Beaufort and Jasper County, the region, okay? So the next project, I'm going to skip Rebo for a second and go to SC 46. So this is, if you go all the way down 170 to the traffic circle and you're going towards Savannah, towards Jasper County. So this is improvements from the traffic circle to the county line. And then also a little bit of improvements, intersection improvements from the traffic circle back towards downtown Bluffton. That's what that project includes. The interesting thing about both of those projects is that will show up on both Beaufort County and Jasper County sales tax. So on 46, Jasper County in their sales tax list of projects will be from the Beaufort County line continuing into Jasper County for about 1.5 miles. And it includes the intersections. There's like 3 roads right there that come together. There's 46, 170, and 315 that are kind of wonky right now. That'll be improved as part of that project. So on the Triangle project, we have $120 million Beaufort County does, and then Jasper County has, I forget, but they have a lot of money from their sales tax to improve Argent Boulevard and 278, part of the Triangle project. Okay, so one thing, we get a lot of questions, are y'all coordinating, are y'all working together? Absolutely. Everything we're doing is in partnership with Jasper County and Hardyville, Bluffton, all the municipalities. Everybody's involved in what's being planned. Rebo Road, this is northern Beaufort County, so this is from Boundary Street to Paris Island Bridge, 5 miles, some access and safety and road enhancements up there. The next 3 projects are what we call the last sales tax, Transportation Sales Tax 3. So Beaufort County, this would be the 4th sales tax program that we've had. We were the very first county in the entire state in 1998 to issue a sales tax program at all. It widened 170, 14 miles of widening from the Broad River Bridge all the way to 462. So if you go to Beaufort, imagine driving that on a 2-lane road. And voters just like yourself thought that was important 25 years ago, and they voted for that, and we use that each and every day. So anyhow, there was that sales tax in 98. There was a sales tax in 2006 for 6 years and $152 million, and then a sales tax in 2018 for 3 or 4 years for $120 million. Those projects were appropriately funded in 2018, but what's happened since 2018? COVID. And specifically what happened after COVID was some serious inflation that we haven't really ever seen. And so not only did it cost more today than it did back then to buy a gallon of milk or anything that you buy, but the cost of construction has gone up by 70%, higher than any other measure of inflation across the country. And so we're in the same shape as the state is, as well as every other state across America. All the projects that were established in that pre-COVID are experiencing that same shortfall in funding. So rather than cut part of that project out, what was promised in 2018, the goal is to make those projects whole and complete those projects as planned. So the next 3 projects are from 2018, the 278 corridor, helping fund the bridge project, Ladies Island project. There's several, I think 9 roads up there included in that project, and then there's 24 pathways that are in various stages from 2018. The next 3 are municipal projects. So as I mentioned, the state has different priorities than the county. Well, the municipalities have different priorities than the county as well. It doesn't mean that our priorities are right and theirs are wrong. It's just different. So the state's focused on interstates, bridges, safety, and resurfacing. Those are their 4 priorities. They only have so much money. They're not going to get to the other projects. We're focused on the regional projects, the 46, the Triangle, the Rebo Road. The county or the municipalities have smaller local projects, whether it's a downtown or intersection improvement and different things like that. So council appropriated $30 million to Hilton Head, $30 million to Bluffton, and $30 million north of the Broad. And we ended up splitting that a little bit further, $10 million to City of Beaufort, $10 million to Port Royal, and $10 million to unincorporated Beaufort County, kind of in between those 2 municipalities. All right, and mass transit. So this is what we think of as Palmetto Breeze, so our bus system. But specific to Beaufort County, we're the only county in the entire state that has a ferry system as well. So not only bus, but it would be ferry, and then lastly is aviation. We have a commercial airport on Hilton Head. So mass transit, there's $80 million to help improve each of those measures. So again, whenever we can get people to ride together and carpool, we're going to have less cars on the road and help with safety and capacity. The next several are what we describe as program projects. So This is a long-term program. We've never had a 10-year program. Our longest has been 6 years. And what we're trying to do, and some people aren't always appreciative of this, and I can understand, is, well, that's not listing a specific project, and you're right. What the goal is we don't know exactly, and as I stand here today, which intersection intersection needs a stoplight in the next 10 years, or which intersection needs a turn lane added, or which road is going to have a pothole. I know there will be potholes in Beaufort County in the next 10 years. I just can't look at my crystal ball and tell you where they're going to be. So what these next programs do is they provide funding and flexibility so that yearly we can have a call for projects, and we have criteria which we'll evaluate and rack and stack. So we're not paving somebody's driveway or whoever's the squeaky wheel. We're not paving that road. We're going to use objective criteria yearly to go through these programs. So those programs, just to hit them real quick, safety and traffic flow. So again, that's intersections and turn lanes and signals. Emergency, evacuation, and resiliency. We have roads that flood on a king tide in Beaufort County. We're a low-lying area. So those roads a lot of times are the ones connected to some sea islands throughout the county. So those people are landlocked for a period of time while the tide is up. So trying to get access, all-weather access to roads like that, as well as evacuation routes. We just had 2 storm events that we were touched by in the region. Fortunately, we didn't suffer major damage. Other parts of the country, our hearts go out to them. But our evacuation routes, we don't think about them on a daily basis, but when we need them, we need them. So if there's improvements to be made, there's some funding for that. Pavement resurfacing and preservation, like I said, this is for, our goal is nobody really knows whether you're on a DOT road, a county road, or a municipal road. You just know that there's a pothole in the road and you want it fixed. So our goal is that we use this funding to help improve the overall road health throughout the entire county, regardless who owns the road. However, it will not be on private roads. So unfortunately, it's not going to be if you got a pothole in here, it's not for that. So that's what this committee's for. Yes, sir. All right, and then dirt road paving, this is more in our rural areas. So this is, again, for publicly owned roads that are dirt that we want to improve them into a paved status. Pathways, we have a bicycle and pedestrian master plan that outlines our priorities, pathways throughout the county. So they're great to have, a great asset and feature for quality of life, and we want to invest in that. And then the last section is green belts. So specific to state statute for transportation is there's allowance for green belts. So conservation is very important in Beaufort County. We have a green space sales tax right now that is specific to conservation. That sales tax was a 2-year, $100 million sales tax. It comes off December 31st of this year. So as of December 31st, we're at 7%. That 1 penny rolls off and it comes down to 6%. So if this tax was approved, it would get approved in November, but it wouldn't start collection until May 1st. So for Beaufort County, the green space would expire December 31st, so we go down to 6%. If approved, this new transportation would go up in May, and then it would come back to 7% where we are today. Does that make sense? Okay, and then, so conservation, there's a little bit of specifics. It's not quite the same as the green space. There's a little bit of different rules. But it's close cousins to green space and also rural and critical lands program. In essence, it's conservation and any ways that it can support traffic as far as taking vehicles off the road. And then lastly, if approved, similar to the school district's been very successful. They've had a bond referendum last year, and theirs is property tax, not sales tax, but theirs was a bond referendum that passed. They have a citizen-led oversight committee to overview the expenditures and schedules and report out to the public, and council thought it would be fitting for us to establish a similar committee like that. So if approved, a 7-member committee made up of the municipality representatives and unincorporated representatives will be established to help oversee the schedules and expenditures and reporting of the program. So all in all, that, like I said, my goal is to inform you, not to sway you one way or the other. Your required as a citizen is to be informed so you can make use your democratic right to vote with a full informed opinion. So again, thank you for the opportunity. And remember, you do have homework. So your homework is to get these and bring these back to your communities, your local communities. And there's more travel pamphlets in the rear. So thank you.
Yeah, Jared, one quick thing. You mentioned that you're not sure what intersection.
So next I have what I consider a real pleasure to introduce Harry Williams, because he happens to be the mayor of the town where I live, which is Hardyville. And for those of you who don't know Harry, he served in a variety of leadership roles while residing in Mahwah, New Jersey, including 5 years as a city councilman, 2 years as that council vice president, 1 year as its president. He was elected to the city council for City of Hardyville in 2015 and served in that capacity until becoming mayor in 2016. He is currently the chairman of the Southern Low Country Advisory Board, known as SOLOCO, and he's also on the board for Southern California Alliance and Habitat for Humanity. And Harry will talk about the Jasper referendum, and he's supported here today by Council Member John Kemp, who's sitting there in the back. Harry?
Morning, everyone. I came here in March 2015, and many of the neighborhoods that are sitting here today were not here. Hardyville has the fastest growth rate in the state of South Carolina of the 271 municipalities. Bluffton is probably the highest number of people growth in South Carolina. So you have two of the highest growth rate municipalities in the state of South Carolina, covering 110 square miles. And that doesn't even count all you folks that have a Bluffton address. You are in unincorporated Jasper County. So if you add in all the people who have a Bluffton address, which includes the 278 corridor, you're talking about thousands and thousands of people. And as Jared said, these two referendums are they're a regional plan. So everything I'm going to talk about today, although it's Jasper County, it affects the entire region and the corridor that we're talking about. And I bring up the growth rate because that affects everybody. Because the first thing, and really what this is all about and what it's motivated by, is safety of the citizens of this entire area. Because that growth rate cannot accommodate, or the current roads cannot accommodate the growth rate, and we're all affected by that. I was told yesterday that the traffic on the 170 south was backed up from Oldfield to Snake Road. Okay, and you say, well, that doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. Because if you're a plumber, your landscaper, or any of the workers that you were expecting to show up, maybe your doctor, your nurse, they're sitting in a traffic jam. Everything affects us all. Whether you're in Beaufort, Jasper, the road system all connects. So road safety is number one. 1A is evacuation. I don't know if you realize what happened with Helene. We get, when there's a tropical storm warning, we are connected, both Beaufort and Jasper County, to the emergency center in Beaufort County and Jasper County. And we get a couple of calls each day, an update when the storm is coming. On that Thursday at 6 o'clock, the last weather update that we were given, and they're tracking this mile by mile, is that that storm was going to head through Atlanta, going to the northwest. And the expected effects of this area were considered mild. By 2 a.m., that storm had taken a sudden eastern turn, and you all witnessed the winds were unbelievable, and that's what created a lot of the damage and the debris that you all talked about earlier. It also caused tornadoes to come down in certain areas. I think there were 3 in this area. And Jasper County is always a little susceptible to that. We in Jasper County had areas that were without power and water for 6 days. And it was only 90 degrees. So you can imagine what it would be like without air conditioning in that time. And I bring that up because no matter how much these storms are tracked, you just can't predict where they're going to go. Now, imagine this. Let's say 24 hours before Helene hit, the governor realized that it was going to make that turn, and he had an evacuation order come through. And we had 24 hours to get out of town. 100,000 people coming right through our area trying to get out of town all at the same time. And whoever gets Nixle, you know, one little fender bender on the bridges of Hilton Head clogged that up. Those people could be having a hurricane on their head as they're sitting on the bridge in Hilton Head. It could happen to you on 278. Now, why do I bring all that up? In this referendum, which I said, number 1, it's about safety. 1A is about evacuations. There are, between the Beaufort and Jasper County referendums, on the roads that affect this room, on evacuation routes, almost $500 million. That includes the corridor from Hilton Head of 278. It includes $50 million on 46, and that's in the Beaufort side. It includes $120 million for 170 on the triangle, as Jared talked about. It includes $65 million from the Jasper line to Exit 8 to widen 278. It includes $57 million for Argent Boulevard. Those on the north side, that's our favorite road, right? Argent Boulevard. There's $57 million devoted to repairing and widening Argent Boulevard. And there's $105 million on the evacuation route corridor that goes 170, 46, 315 that will eventually lead to the new Exit 3. And that's important to us as well, because you say, oh, that's over there. Well, if we have a clear evacuation route for Bluffton and Hilton Head coming out of there, that's less traffic on 278 where we're trying to get out of. And there's also people that route will be closer, people like Willowbrook and that end of Sun City. So we're all connected. We're all connected. And it's very important to understand why the counties have put forth these referendums. That's one of the reasons. And when I talk about safety, it's not just the safety of all of us. It's the safety of the people who are working for us. These are also critical routes for the workforce that we are all dependent upon to get to their jobs. Imagine your mother and father, with a family, and you have work to go to, and you can't get to your job because the roads are clogged up. And that's one of the motivations in looking at this group of roads. And then lastly, we're talking about land preservation. Jasper County is a rural area. And again, you say, well, that doesn't affect me. Yes, it does. Clean water and preservation of our natural resources affects us. Water doesn't stop at the county line. It doesn't stop at rural Jasper County. It comes down here, and we're all dependent on it. We came here for the ecological environment that we enjoy, and it's all connected. Doesn't matter what county it is. 20% of every dollar Jasper County's collecting will go to Greenbelt land preservation. It's $94 million. That's so important that this nice little brochure, this was published by the Trust for Public Land. It's a nonprofit organization that deals with referendums or helps with referendums that deal with Greenbelt and land preservation. It's supported also by the Public Land Trust and the Coastal Conservation League. They are all joined together to help get the nonprofits to get the word out. As Jared said, we're here to educate you what this is all about. And preservation of land is a big part, 20% of every dollar in the Jasper referendum. Now, there are other projects, I won't go into it. I want to just concentrate on the ones that affect us here in this area. They're all listed here. Also, one question, number one, a lot of people ask about what is exempt. Basically nothing, unless you're on some kind of assistance, then your food is exempt. But for us, it's all in there. I want to point something out. It was in the island packet, for those of you who get the printed version, they had an opinion piece. One person wrote about why you should vote no, and they were talking about Beaufort County. And one person, a former councilman of Hilton Head, made a piece about why you should vote yes. And as I'm reading the negative one, the guy said that it is going to cost each one of us $285 per year if this tax is approved. Now, this is about ensuring our safety when we go out on the road, and we all do practically every day. And I'm thinking, man, my car insurance is a heck of a lot more than that. My homeowner insurance is a heck of a lot more than that. We pay a heck of a lot more for insurance for our safety. $285 a year seems pretty cheap by comparison. And the other thing that when you think about this, and I'm not advocating, by the way, I'm not allowed to do that. If it seems that way, please, I'm not. Because I'll tell you the negative side. But one of the advantages and one of the reasons why counties in South Carolina love this kind of tax, because they figure 40 to 45% is paid for by people who don't even know where they are. They're just passing through. Jasper County, that's particularly true because Jasper County has 33 miles of I-95. And you know what's happening on I-95? We have a new exit. There's going to be 1,600 acres surrounding the new exit where hotels, restaurants, gas stations, and all the things that go around an exit. And that's going to be a busy one for the port. So that's going to get a lot of sales tax from people who don't live in Beaufort or Jasper County. There's also, in the Planning Commission in Hardeeville, in mid-September, there was approval given to a travel center on exit 8. I didn't hear that. It is a travel center. Now, it's a big area that was approved, and it's going to come to the city council, and I can tell you we will pass it. This travel center is going to be a very big travel center. They're going to do a lot of business. And you know what? Every penny they pay in sales tax is a penny less that the citizens of Jasper County will have to pay to fix our roads for the safety of everyone. And that's really what it's about. Now, what's the negative? Because I'm obligated to tell you both sides. The negative, it's a tax. Now, what happens? 2 years ago, Jasper County had 9% tax. By law, the state charges 6%, and counties can assess, by referendum, 3 individuals 1% tax. Through 2022, because there was a referendum in 2016 also to fix some roads, and part of that money's gone to the new exit 3, that ran out in 2022, dropping the 9 to 8. Okay. The school district has had a tax since 2002, 1%. That will be collected, that will sunset in March of 2025. They are also asking you to vote for 1%. So now here's what can happen. If both referendums fail, Jasper County will go back to 7% because there's a 1% local option sales tax. That is a sales tax that you pay, and then the homeowners are rebated a portion of that. If you look on your tax bills, you'll see a rebate under what's called LOST. It's a heck of an acronym, LOST, local option sales tax. That's going to be on there. It'll take a lot of effort to ever get rid of that, but there is an apparatus. So that'll stay. If both fail, 7%. If you vote for the transportation tax, it'll stay at 8. If you vote for the transportation tax and the school tax, it goes back to 9, which is what it was between 2017 and 2022. So if you vote for one and not the other, it's 8. You vote for both, it's 9. You vote down both of them, it's 7. So the negative side of everything is it's a tax. You have to decide. Do you want to spend $285 a year, or do you want your roads fixed? Because in Jasper County, we don't have any other option. Now, one of the questions that I often get asked, well, why doesn't the state or the county, these are not local roads, they're county and state roads, and federal roads, why don't they fix it? And I answered one person the other day, I said, it's very simple. There's not enough money, and we're not a high enough priority. And even if we can always are fighting for those funds, in Jasper County, our referendum calls for $470 million. $376 million is to fix the roads. But we had another $225 million worth of road projects that didn't make the list because we didn't want to make it too big. And so what if we can get our skin in the game and we show the state and we show the feds that, look, we're putting money up, you chip in, and maybe we can get the rest of those projects on the list as well. But without matching money, they usually don't pay attention. So the reality is, whether we like it or not, if we don't fix it, it won't get fixed. And that's just the reality of South Carolina roads. Whether like it or not, that's the reality. So we will certainly pursue other avenues, but if this fails, Argent Boulevard will continue as is. And so that's about it. Thank you for your time and attention. And
Sun City TV asked each of our presenters to share with us their message for the key issues in each of their referendums. Let's hear from them.
So the key to Beaufort County sales tax, first is understanding the question. So you'll see two questions. One is for the tax itself, and it's either 10 years or $950 million, and it's for road projects. The road projects, you can find more information at BeaufortCountyPenny.com about specifically what it'll be. But the question is, do you support the use of those funds for up to 10 years or 950? Whichever one gets there first, whether it's the money or the time, that tax will be completed. And the major impetus for this is we drive the roads every day, safety. If you've driven 170 or 278, you've seen the accidents, and that's exactly what we're trying to address. And it's not only us participating in this, but it's everybody that comes to Beaufort County. So it's the visitors, it's residents, it's workers. Anybody who buys any product in Beaufort County is participating in this tax. So we hope you are well informed and you're educated and everybody shows up to vote on November 5th.
hello. So you've heard about the referendum, and it's a referendum for regional transportation. And that is why Jasper and Beaufort have worked so hard together to make sure that we have a regional transportation system that looks towards the future and the future needs with the tremendous growth that's in Hardeeville and Bluffton. What's this about? Number one, this is about public safety. Our roads are not safe. This plan will make our roads safer now and for our needs of the next 25 years. And there's a 1A to that, hurricane evacuation. We've just seen two horrific storms. Luckily, we haven't had an evacuation. But there is over $500 million between the two referendums in the two counties that will repair, fix, and widen the roads that will be used in an evacuation event. So that's very important for everyone in Jasper and Beaufort County. And lastly, we want to preserve the natural resources of our area. 20% of every dollar will go towards land preservation, or $94 million if we collect the total of $470 that we anticipate. We want to preserve the natural and sensitive areas, and that affects everybody because our waters, they don't know what county they're in. They don't know what municipality they're in. They're all connected, just like our roads. And so preserving the areas that keeps our water clean and our ecological system whole is very, very important and a big part of the referendums of both counties. And we will work together on what the most sensitive areas are. The negative side, it's a tax. But it's a tax that is very much participated in by the visitors who come here. We anticipate in both counties somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 45% of every dollar collected that goes towards those priorities will be spent by people who do not live here. And those 45% that are contributing are taking that burden off us who live here. So that's what it's all about.